Hi, I'm Aprajita, and thank you for getting me on board for this conference. And I'm going to go right into my session. The poster that you see in front of you is the head mask of the National Family Planning Program that India had from 1954. The inverted red triangle was created in 1969, but from 54 to 70, we've had this idea of agla bacha abhi nahi, teen ke baad kabhi nahi, and teen becomes do, and so the idea of the small family is from two child family to a three child family to a two child family to now a one child family in many states. It has been around for a really long time. I'm going to start with a graph from 1965, which shows how family planning acceptors have worked since 1965. Sterilizations have always been high, and you will see that certain months are higher than others. That's because sterilization camps were being carried out in certain months of the year. And when that happens, a lot of clusters of the population are encouraged to go through vasectomies or tubectomies in those camps. Now, these camps have continued to play a very important part of the population control program in the country, and they are not regarded as coercion. And according to the scholars I study, they are on the borders of coercion and choice, because at one level, sterilization is one of the ways in which you can reduce your family. On the other hand, if the state is pushing you towards that as the only form of contraception and way to reduce your family, then that's a problem. In the changing mix of contraceptives available to the population, vasectomies were high, especially in the late 1960s, as you will see. Tubectomies have been around. They are low in this circumstance because IUDs were pretty popular and condoms were popular. Condoms started being mass-produced from 1967 with the coming of Nirod, and which is why their uptake was pretty high for that year. Foam tablets, jellies, and diaphragms are things that your grandmother probably would know about, because those were available in the market from the 1950s. They were not very useful, but they were forms of spermicides which were common in developing markets for in the world over in the 50s. What you have in front of you are interesting photographs from the archival material that I put up. On the left is a photograph accompanying a newspaper report of a massive tubectomy camp that happened in Andhra Pradesh in April 1969. The women who are lined up in the photograph are those who are acceptors, women who wanted to go through sterilization, tubectomies in the camp. They have paper documents in their hands which show some kind of legalization, consent taking. However, whether they've been asked about other forms of contraception, whether they've been counseled about other forms of contraception, we don't know. This photograph does not make that clear. On the right-hand side, you see the advertisement for IUDs for a certain kind of woman, a woman who wants happiness, who wants to do better for the family, for the nation, and she's being encouraged to take the loop, which is a form of IUD. From the 50s and 60s, what is common is the counseling that came with birth control. Young mothers were told how to look after their children. They were told about nutrition. They were told about how to avoid stunting in children. And these kind of counseling centers started becoming purely sterilization centers by the 70s. And that becomes a problem because no one really knows where to go for this kind of advice anymore. It is either the Asha or the nurse who is supposed to give you that advice. And that they may not be in a position to counsel women, young women, on social habits around and hygiene and nutrition and in a marriage anymore. So these holistic aspects of family planning are which were part of the 50s and 60s are pretty much gone in from the 70s onwards. Here again, you see a whole package of what all was available to the country, to the nuclear family that was coming up in terms of birth control. And it is important to mention that in the paper trail, I didn't find any of the kind of stereotypes that you find about Muslims' fertility. Here you have a photograph of the Shahi Imam talking to young Muslim men about sterilization and Parivar Niyojan in Uttar Pradesh, next to the masjid. And you will see the red triangle, inverted red triangle in the posters around the assembly. And clearly he's encouraging the men to take on the role of nation builders through Parivar Niyojan. Again, you have the advertisement for sterilizations in the hospitals in Delhi. You will notice in this advertisement that cash benefits of 15 rupees for men and 25 rupees for women in these hospitals for taking for contraception, for taking up sterilization. Okay, so you have several such advertisements that show that there's a nuclear family that the state is encouraging. And when we come to the 1950s, and even in the latest 2015-16 surveys, the National Family Health Surveys, you will notice that the entire paradigm has shifted. You don't see that much stress on vasectomies anymore. Male sterilization is reduced to 2%. In 2015, it's 0.3%. Female sterilization has increased drastically, 34% in 1990s and 36% in 2015. And half the population is not using any kind of contraception. So what does that say about birth control practices in India, especially in a situation where fertility is declining drastically in the country? This is the question that I want to leave you with. Thank you.